On today's primetime local news, Canada's inflation rate slows as calls grow for more competition in the grocery sector. And the Lloydminster Bobcats are looking for a new head coach as Nigel Dubé focuses on the GM role. Plus, what's in store for Canada Day in the border city?
Prime time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
And Canada Day celebrations are set to go in Lloydminster on Saturday. Stacey Comer found out what is planned for the day.
I'm pleased to be joined on Primetime Local News today by Cassandra Hull. Cassandra is one of the programmers for events at Bud Miller Park, including Canada Day. Cassandra, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's talk about Canada Day itself. What do you have planned?
So you can expect a wide range of activities during the day from about 1 till 6 p.m. We have things like horse and wagon rides, inflatable attractions, a petting zoo, main stage entertainment going on until 10:30 p.m., a rock wall, face painting, among many other things.
Is everything happening at Bud Miller?
Yes, everything is taking place at Bud Miller All Seasons Park.
And I know people always love to come out to the event, but parking can become an issue as well. So what do you advise people to do, Cassandra, when they're looking for parking?
So we've moved the event to the back half of the park to allow for the 2 parking spaces up front of the pool and the PSM Park Center to be open, as well as Lakeland College. And we also have a shuttle service running from the Service Sports Center from noon till 7 p.m.
And is that shuttle service just continuous, or is it every 15 minutes, or how does that work?
It'll be continuous, so they will just keep doing runs back and forth. We also have a bike rack that will be out by the amphitheater if people prefer to bring their bikes.
And fireworks, this is something that people always look forward to. So do we have the usual fireworks that is planned for Canada Day?
Yes, we do. So the fireworks will take place at 11 p.m.
Okay, and I know that people like to come to the park. Sometimes for Canada Day, they will spend all day there. Is there going to be any concessions or food trucks or things like that? Or should people just bring a picnic lunch if they want to come, or what's going to be available?
There will be many vendors at Canada Day this year. So if you bring some cash, that would be good because, they'll be operating all day as well.
And the event itself, Cassandra, do you know or do you predict how many people attend every year? Can you usually guess, or it's usually just packed no matter what?
It's usually pretty full. I would say around probably the 5,000 people mark come in and out of there during the day.
And just to let people know, there is no charge for this event, correct? Nobody is going to be collecting anything at the gate?
No, there's no charge for the event. The only thing that you'll need money for is if you plan to eat at one of the food trucks during the day.
And I know that normally you need volunteers, but luckily this year you had enough that have stepped up. But tell me about the importance of volunteers for this event.
We're covered for once for this year fully, so that's very exciting to say. Without our volunteers, this event would not be possible at all. So we really, really appreciate the community stepping up and volunteering for this opportunity.
If people are looking for more information, Cassandra, on Canada Day or just a list of the events, where's the best place to go?
So you can go to lloydminster.ca/Canada Day for all of the information.
All right, Cassandra. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. And good luck with the event on Canada Day.
Thank you.
And now it's time for us to check in with Shelby Clark for your first look at weather.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, now taking a first look at your weather forecast here for our Tuesday here in the border city, sitting at 23. So we are kind of matching with those conditions as what we saw yesterday. We're already kind of starting off on a nice warm note as we go on through the week. And of course, compared to the past weekend with those crazy conditions and lots of rainfall, we still have a few more photos and videos to show for that. But, you know, after a crazy weekend, it's nice to see that we are starting to see some sunnier days ahead and we are starting to warm it back up. But hopefully, you know, this wildfire fire season will cool down a bit and we can hopefully find a happy balance, with the heat and not having too dry of heat. We were just sitting at 23 and of course saw a mixture of some sun and cloud for today, so it was a beautiful day today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Switching over to temperatures across the region for Alberta and Saskatchewan. On the Alberta side, most spots are seeing kind of the same conditions. Most are just seeing those mid-20s, between 23 to 25 degrees in most of these areas on this side. And then we have a few that are looking slightly warmer. We have 26 in some of these with Wainwright, Edmonton, and up in Lac La Biche. And then we are even reaching 27 there in Vegreville, as we're just a few degrees off from that 30-degree mark. So we are slowly starting to see some slightly warmer conditions throughout the week and turning into some of those scorching hot days. Going over to our Saskatchewan side now, they are kind of matching with us with those conditions. Some are slightly cooler compared to our Alberta side. We have that 20-degree mark up in Isle of Cross, and we start to slightly warm up from there. 23 degrees there in St. Walburg, and most spots are just sitting at 24, and down in Macklin now at 25. So for the most part, we mostly are just sitting at those mid-20s. North Battleford will be going down to a low of 12 for their evening low temperature. So seeing those double digits for tonight again, we are expecting some warm evenings throughout this week. So they are expecting those double digits and more of a calm night tonight. No high chances of precipitation for North Battleford tonight. Then for their daytime high tomorrow, 26. So they will be warming it up from what they're just sitting at today, and partly sunny. So seeing a mixture of some sun and clouds throughout the day tomorrow. So it's slowly turning into one of those scorchers for tomorrow as we are going on through the week. Cold Lake will be also expecting those double digits for tonight, a low of 11, and expecting a clear and calm night. No crazy conditions. They won't be seeing any high chances of rainfall. And then for their daytime high tomorrow, 27 degrees, so just 3 degrees off from that 30-degree mark, and expecting a much sunnier day tomorrow. So please make sure you are drinking lots of water and using that sunscreen, because we are expecting some very warm days this week. For us here in the Border City, we will be going down to a low of 12, so we are expecting a pretty warm evening tonight as well, more of a clear and calm night. And then we will be looking at another hot day tomorrow, daytime high of 26, so we're almost hitting that 30-degree mark as we are slowly going on through the week and expecting mostly sunny conditions. So, like I said before, make sure you got your water ready and make sure you got your sunscreen out. Now, ending off with a look at some of your weather photos, submissions, and we have a video as well that we've gotten from the storm and from, I've gotten some nice cloud shots. Thank you to Trish for this one. Gorgeous shot. Nice one from Classic Carol. Thank you for this beautiful shot. Love the greenery and of the sky in that one. This one is from Jackie Tomeyer. Nice shot of the hail. Thank you so much, Jackie. And ending off with a look at this video here to kind of show how crazy some of that rainfall really was, even seeing that truck drive by. So thank you to everyone that submitted so far. That's all I have for now for a first look at your weather forecast.
Thank you so much for that, Shelby. That video really puts things into perspective, seeing the truck drive through. Stay with us, though. After the break, we'll have a look at the day's business headlines. The 70th anniversary of the Wainwright Stampede took place last week, and it was a resounding success. There was 4 days of Canadian professional rodeo, which saw competitors from across Canada and some from the U.S. compete at the Stampede grounds. This all culminated in the final day on Sunday with the battle for the buckles, where the top 10 cowboys and cowgirls in each event competed for the grand prize, a brand new shiny buckle. 8 in total were handed out to the winners. One other award was also handed out during the final night, as local Ken Skinner Gunther received his plaque for being inducted into the Canadian Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame, with his entire family there to help him celebrate the award. And moving on to other sports news, the Lloydminster Bobcats are on the search now for their new head coach, as Nigel Dubé has now become the full-time general manager for the team. Here's Thomas Wildman with more.
Today I'm joined by Nigel Dubé, the general manager of the Lloydminster Bobcats. And he's here today to talk to us about how the Lloydminster Bobcats are looking for their new head coach for the 2023-24 season. And so thank you so much for being with me today, Nigel.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And so, Nigel, you were previously also the head coach of the Lloydminster Bobcats. Tell me why the organization and you have decided to move on to having you be the full-on general manager and now are looking for a new head coach to take over the player management of the team going into the next season.
I think it's part of the foundation. Obviously, when there was a big change here in 2018, I think that our entire organization has grown and grown in the right way, we believe. And, we've got to a spot with multiple things going on, not just the junior hockey team, but, with multiple fundraisers going on throughout the year, working with the development with the elite hockey and the minor hockey, as well as just our community involvement where we can be involved. For the most part, we've been really short staffed here, especially through the pandemic. And, we've been able to have some success at that. But also at the same time, our long-term plan and the success we want to create on the ice for our junior hockey players and the development we want to give them and the success to move on to the next level. We also want to focus on that moving forward, and I think that we've added some great pieces in the last 5 years, obviously in the front office with Mallory and with associate coach Jeff Wojciechowski, and our scouting staff, and we've been able to grow that and continue to maintain Chris Weeb here too in town. We've just been doing a lot of things, and the sponsorship side of it for us is one of the driving forces that needs a lot of attention, because that's how we operate every day, and same with the fundraisers. So to be able to create something that is a little bit more here is what we're looking at.
And so, Nigel, tell me a little bit about your head coaching tenure here in Lloydminster and some of the things that you've accomplished in your time and the things that you want that next head coach to do for the Bobcats going into next season.
It's I love coaching. There's no doubt about it. I still will be involved in the minor hockey and the elite hockey, and those parts of it, and we've had success here and getting back into the playoffs, and I thought we gave Bonnyville a heck of a run last year, and obviously that showed in our crowds too, and just growing on that part of it and where we are, we're excited about. And as an organization, you want to continue to evolve, and as a junior hockey team, you want to continue to evolve and go through all the different ups and the downs of seasons. But at the same time, we're at that place that we want to continue to grow here.
And finally, Nigel, for you and the rest of the organization, kind of tell me a little bit about that ideal candidate that you guys are looking to be the new bench boss for the Lloydminster Bobcats.
The culture that we've created here and the culture that our players know is something that we want to grow on, and that candidate needs to be hardworking, no doubt, be community first, and also care a ton about the players and the families that are involved in junior hockey, and have a path set forward to create success individually and as a team. And those are all factors that are going to go into it. But we want to build on the 4 pillars that we have here as an organization, and that we're proud of. And then a big part of it is being community minded. There's no doubt we're a community team, and that's a big part. And we've taken great pride in that, and we will continue to moving forward.
Thank you so much for all the information, Nigel, and we hope that your guys' coaching search goes well and that we will be able to meet the new head coach for the Lloydminster Bobcats very soon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Thomas. I appreciate it.
And now it's time for us to check in once again with Shelby Clark for another look at your weather forecast.
Thanks so much again there, Mr. Jace Mackey. Yes, now taking an extended look at your weather forecast, we'll be starting off with our central zone of the provinces. And we have warmed it quite up a bit with some of these digits on this side as we are getting closer to that 30-degree mark. 27 over in Edson as they are looking at the warmest condition there. And then we have mostly 25s and 26s on the board, then 24 for Whitecourt and Cold Lake. So we are seeing more of those mid-20 temperatures now as we are going through the week, but we are slowly making our way up to that 30-degree mark. So please make sure to be prepared for some more heat our way. Going over to our Saskatchewan side now on this side for these temperatures, they are matching with us with those conditions to our Alberta side. 25 degrees seems to be looking at the warmest condition here for both Prince Albert and over in Melfort, and the rest are just sitting at 24. So those mid-20s once again as we continue on. Going over to our northern zone now on our Saskatchewan side, they are looking slightly cooler in some of these spots compared to what they were looking at yesterday, especially with South End and Wollaston Lake. Now at those teen temperatures temperatures with 14 and 19 in Wollaston Lake, so they have cooled it down quite a bit. And then we start to warm up from there, 21 for both La Loche and Buffalo Narrows. Then we're just looking at 23 down in Flin Flon and go a bit higher to Stony Rapids and Uranium City at 24 and 27. So they are still sitting at those mid-20s and getting closer to that 30-degree mark. Going back over to Alberta side here in our northern zone, they are still seeing probably the warmest conditions yet. 28 degrees for both Peace River and High Level. We even were seeing those conditions in those spots yesterday as well, as they were just a couple digits off from that 30-degree mark. And then we start to slightly cool down, but only just by a couple of digits. 27 in Grand Prairie, while it is 25 in both Slave Lake and up in Fort Chipewyan. And then we have 23 there in Fort McMurray. So still looking quite warm in our northern zone. Now going over to our southern zone, they have warmed up slightly as well. Banff unfortunately has cooled down to 16 degrees as they were slowly trying to make it to that 20-degree mark, especially after those wild conditions last week with that dump of snow and all that. But now they have cooled it back down for right now for today with 16. The rest are sitting at those mid-20s with 25 in Calgary and Coronation. And then we are slowly starting to warm up in Lethbridge and Medicine Hat, usually with what we expect in those two spots, especially with those temperatures as they are getting closer to that 30-degree mark. And going back over to our Saskatchewan side here, they have warmed it up as well and are starting to see some scorchers. 28 degrees in both Moose Jaw and Regina, while it is 27 with Kindersley and Swift Current. Down in Estevan, just at 26, and then Yorkton is still looking slightly cooler as they are just now hitting that 20-degree mark. But now as we look at some overnight evening lows for these temperatures in our surrounding area and on this list here, we are going to be cooling down slightly, but for the most part, most of these spots will be also seeing those double digits once again for tonight. A low of 11 for Bonnyville and Paradise Hill, while there's a low of 12 and 13 degrees for Provost and Isle Cross tonight. And then Meadow Lake will be the only one with that single digit on this list with a low of 9. So we will be cooling down, but not by too much. We are expecting still a warm evening in most of these spots in our surrounding area. And it will be more of a clear and calm night as well. We were seeing a high chance of some rainfall last night, but for tonight it will be a clear and calm evening. So unfortunately we won't be having high chances of precipitation. Looking at our hourly forecast for our Wednesday here in the border city, we will be looking at kind of the same conditions as what we saw today, as we will be hitting that 20-degree mark right off in the morning there with around 9-10 a.m. And then for our daytime high, we will be reaching around 24-25. So we are going to be expecting another warm day tomorrow and won't be cooling down by too much, because once we pass by our Wednesday, we will be hitting that 28. So almost hitting that 30-degree mark for our Thursday and Friday. So be prepared. We got some scorchers ahead as we head into the weekend, and we are supposed to hopefully have a high chance of some rainfall starting on Friday that will continue through the weekend. So hopefully we will be looking at a little bit more precipitation to help with this dry heat, because we will be seeing these scorchers continue on into next week. And that's all I have for now. Our Jason Mackey will have our news coming up after the break.
I'm back at Border Paws Animal Shelter for another edition of Pet Project, and today we have a gorgeous dog named Blanche who loves belly rubs and treats, apparently. Tell me a little bit about her story. How old is she and how she came to be here?
Yeah, so she was just a random stray. I want to say like L curve area. As you can see with her ear, she has had a rough life. She's got a big chunk taken out of her ear, but she's a really sweet girl. However, does not do well with other dogs. She will go after them, so she would need to be in a single animal household. I don't think she would be good with cats either. I don't know if she'd necessarily be mean, but she'd chase. She seems to be doing okay with the kittens here, but I think it's because I have a handful of treats.
Yeah.
So we think she's about 5 or 6. Absolutely wonderful with humans, though. She's still really good with kids, too. The only thing is she just doesn't really know not to jump up yet.
Yeah.
So if you had, like, a kid under 5 or 6, I would be a little bit worried about that. I mean, you could definitely take her for training, but she is an older gal that it might not be as easy to train.
Right.
Hey, Blanche? But yeah, other than that, she's absolutely a sweetheart, and she loves her belly rubs. The one day she literally walked up to everybody in the front office and demanded belly rubs.
Which is adorable, because that's the first thing that she did when she came over to meet me, which was very adorable.
sit?
And when you say that she might jump up onto kids who are, you might be a little bit worried, and it's not in an aggressive way, it's just more of a very excited way.
Absolutely. It's not mean at all. We've never had any issues with any human beings with her. She just wants affection, and yeah, she just doesn't know, not to jump up yet. So, and I mean, that could be corrected with time. It's just, you'd have to be very patient that, if you do have little kids, it doesn't take much to knock them over. So.
Yes, it wouldn't take much to knock me over either. So
right, exactly.
I understand that, but definitely she has not shown an ounce of aggression since she's been out here, and she loves the humans because they provide the belly rubs and the treats for sure.
Absolutely.
Which is adorable. So you were supposed to have your microchipping event on the 24th. That did not happen due to the construction in your parking lot. So you have decided to move the date for a redo almost.
Yeah, so it kind of sucked. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do it. We still had a couple people manage to come through the mess of this and come, so we did it for them anyways. But yeah, we are going to reschedule, and we're going to do it for July 22nd. And then that way the whole parking lot will be done. People can come and check out the new shelter and kind of see what we're all about.
And the event will kind of be the same thing, barbecue with the microchipping and...
Yes, same idea, right? Barbecue, glitter tattoos kind of thing. So yeah, it's same event, just push back to July 22nd. So if you are trying to get to the shelter in the next bit, it's not really that easy. You have to park on the street, and then there will be kind of a path on the side. We do ask that everybody gives us a call before coming, just so we can make sure there's nothing too crazy going on and that you can actually get in here. As well as volunteers, we're just kind of holding off until they're supposed to be done July 6th. So after that, we're hoping that everyone can come on in.
Yes, hopefully it goes smoothly. Hopefully the rain, kind of tapers off and just chills out for a while, just so that, because you guys do need your parking lot and your access to your front entrance as well.
Absolutely.
So, now you guys are going to have a booth at Canada Day.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about some of the details that you know of.
Yeah, so this Saturday it's Canada Day, and Bud Miller always puts on an awesome day there. It's free for everyone to go, and we will be there doing glitter tattoos like we always do. We have the best glitter tattoo artists. So we'll be there. I believe our booth is going to be over by the atrium kind of there, that gazebo type thing. So yeah, if anybody wants to stop by and get some information on, how to volunteer, how to become a foster parent, also see what we have for adoptable animals, because we'll have a book with all our adoptable animals. I'm not sure yet if they're bringing an animal. They might not, just because it's going to be pretty chaotic. Yep. But yeah, stop by, have a chat with Candace. She can give you guys all kinds of information about what we do.
Perfect. That sounds like it's going to be a very fun day and a good event, especially because Bud Miller knows how to put on a good event,
Absolutely,
especially for Canada Day.
Right.
And now, is there any donations that you're in need of?
Blankets, always. Unfortunately, our washing machine has broken a couple of times since I've last seen you, so we can always use blankets. And then again, puppy or kitty food, we seem to see an influx in them in the summertime, so any kibble, wet that has to do with kittens or puppies, we can always use.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining me today. And Blanche wandered off somewhere, but I think she would make the perfect single pet addition to any household.
Absolutely.
And, she's very loving and affectionate, so I can't see any issues with anyone except, the jumping up, but that's, that can
easy
be
enough
trained.
to correct. Exactly.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Joining us today for Primetime Local News is Tyler McMurtry with SGI. Thank you so much for once again joining us today, Tyler.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Yes, it's been quite a while since we've been able to have an interview with you, so this is really nice to have you back on here. And we're kind of speaking on, this release you sent out for SGI about traffic safety spotlight that highlighted the number of daytime impaired driving collisions for last month. So can we just start off with that and you just kind of go into the collisions and all the issues there?
Yeah, one of the things we wanted people to understand is that impaired driving isn't just an evening thing or something that happens in the early morning hours. It really does happen at all times of the day. And when we take a look at the impaired driving collisions that we see here in Saskatchewan over the course of the last 5 years, on average, more than 1 in 3 take place between the hours of 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So 35% of impaired driving collisions happen during the daytime. So, obviously there is never a good time to drive impaired, and whether it's daytime or nighttime, police are always on the lookout for impaired drivers. So that's why it's always a good time and always a good reason to plan a safe ride home.
And how would you say how many impaired driving offenses there were in May?
So in May, and this is impaired driving offenses, they're not time specific, they're not time stamped, but we did see 476 impaired driving offenses. So that breaks down between 206 criminal code charges and another 270 administrative license suspensions. So lower level impaired driving offenses that come when you violate the provincial limits for either alcohol or drugs.
Now, for people out there and, drivers that may not be taking this seriously, they may not think it's a big deal if they can still drive and they just don't know how serious this could be. What can you say that they can face if they ever get pulled over and they're caught?
Well, hopefully you never are in a situation where you caused a collision and injured yourself or somebody else as a result of your decision to impaired drive. But just getting caught, if somebody's going to drive impaired, them getting caught is the best case scenario. Not necessarily for the person who drove, but for everybody else they share the road with. And for the person who gets caught, even violating those provincial standards, so 0.04 for an experienced driver, zero tolerance for all drugs for all drivers, zero tolerance for alcohol for new drivers as well. So you're looking at the very least a 3-day license suspension, a 3-day vehicle impoundment for an experienced driver. You are looking at a requirement to attend a weekend driving without impairment course. So that's 14 hours in a classroom on a nice weekend that you could be spending doing something else. And there's also demerits that go along with that as well. And now that's for violating just the provincial levels where you don't get a criminal charge or a criminal record upon conviction. If you are charged with impaired driving, that's a much more significant set of circumstances. You start with a more indefinite length license suspension until the charges are dealt with in court or until you're eligible for ignition interlock. Your vehicle is impounded for 30 days at roadside immediately. And then upon conviction, you're looking at fines, a criminal record imposed by the court, potential jail time, depending on the severity of the offense and the circumstances that surrounded it, ignition interlock requirement for a year, and much more significant penalty under safe driver recognition as well. So you go to immediately minus 20 on the safe driver recognition scale. You're looking at a financial penalty starting at around $1,250. So it's a very costly mistake. Absolutely not worth it to take that chance and get behind the wheel if you're impaired.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it after you just listed off all of that. That's very serious punishments right there. So hopefully people are really listening, and if they're ever doing that all the time, hopefully they will be stopping that soon just to keep everybody safe out there on the roads. Now for May, I know there was some other offenses. What else has law enforcement reported during May for this year?
Yeah, they for May they saw 490 seatbelt and car seat offenses. So somebody not properly restrained using a seatbelt, or if in the case of small children, a booster or car seat. That's a $175 ticket in Saskatchewan and 3 demerit points. There was also 841 tickets for a distracted driving offense. So that's either using a cell phone while driving or driving without due care and attention. In both cases, that's a $580 ticket for a first offense and 4 demerit points. And then, of course, we saw a high number of speeding tickets as well. Speeding is the most common traffic offense that is committed and is caught on Saskatchewan roads. In May, police caught 5,338 speeders or people committing some other sort of aggressive driving infraction. And of course, the fines on that vary depending on where you're speeding and how fast you're going. But as you accelerate, the fines escalate.
Wow, that is a high number right there. So hopefully, for this next month, for June, those numbers start to go down a bit more and people can kind of relax and drive more safely. But it's always nice to be able to speak with you and help get the word out there of how much was reported during the month and everything, and just knowing that people need to smarten up and definitely know how to follow the rules when it comes to driving safely. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Tyler.
Yeah, thank you very much, Shelby. It's always great to talk to you.
And that's all the time we have for this edition of Primetime Local News. Thank you all so much for joining us. Have a great night, and we'll be back here again tomorrow. See you then.